Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Eververse podcast. And we are on episode 3. And I thought I'd do something a bit different than the first 2 episodes. And rather than spitting facts, today I'm going to be reacting to stories from Reddit. Now, I'm sure we've all heard of Reddit. You can find some cracking content on this. So I thought, what would be a good way to start this? So, the question is, what was the most awkward wedding you've been to? Now, I haven't been to many weddings. I've probably been to one proper wedding. I went to the one service, and then, sorry about that. And then I've been to a couple of after parties, but I haven't been to that many. But none of them, the ones I went to weren't awkward. But I wonder what it's like to go to an awkward wedding. So, we're gonna start. Let's start. So, let's begin. Let's read this one. So, normal wedding for a very religious couple. Got to the reception and the food was all sandwich trays from Walmart. When it came time to dance, they put on what was probably Now That's What I Call 90s CD. This was in 2008-ish. And the first song was Semi-Charmed Life. A few seconds in, the mother of the bride turns off the CD player. What? And puts in a CD with children's Bible songs. About a second later, I don't know what that means, someone else comes back on, and then children's songs are back on. This repeated about 2 or 3 more times as the mum tries to control what her adult married daughter can play at her own wedding. We left. Oh my god. Yeah. I don't think I'd play Now That's What I Call 90s. I don't know what I'd play at my own wedding. I don't know. But just putting children Bible songs on. So one of the comments underneath the story is, she doesn't like doing crystal meth. Have we got any more? Have we got any more stories? Okay, here's another one. Almost the entire bride's family left right after the ceremony because she had the audacity to wear a red dress. In the other, almost the entire bride's family left right after the ceremony because she had the audacity to marry a man with long hair. Ooh, the audacity. Oh, wow. I feel like I wouldn't have invited them if they were going to be like that. Like, it's your own wedding. Yeah, it's a bit unorthodox to wear a red dress. That's not bad, is it? Like, I think the whole wearing the white thing might not suit some people. Like, some people have the black wedding dresses, which are just as nice, you know? Like, I'd probably wear white, but that's me. But if someone else doesn't want to wear white, that's their own option, it's their wedding. But marrying the man with long hair, what's wrong with guys having long hair? Oh god. Yeah, someone put, didn't any of the families see the dress ahead of time at fittings or meet the groom ahead of time? That is a great question. Like, wouldn't you have known that the groom had long hair? Okay. Ooh, let's see, is there any other stories? Oh, here's a good one. I don't know if it's good, but it's big. This was almost 3 years ago, wow. Okay, I was a banquet manager at a hotel for years, and I've worked hundreds of weddings. Worst one by far, the bride was at least 20 years younger than the groom, almost definitely an arranged marriage. Only about 20 people were invited to the reception, and the only decoration was a shitty quality, massive blown up picture of the bride and groom in the shape of a heart. When the bride and groom walked into the room, someone put Black Eyed Peas Tonight's Gonna Be a Good Night on the CD player. And then the song played again and again and again for 3 hours straight. The only time it stopped was when the CD ended, because apparently no one learned how to use the repeat feature, so they just burned a CD with the same song on it 20 times. When it did stop though, someone just got up and restarted it. Also, no booze. Oh, 3 hours? Oh wow. I mean, there are worse songs, but 3 hours the same song. Oh wow. Again, CDs. Fair enough. Like, some people can't afford a DJ, so you might as well just whip out the old CD player. I have a pair of water speakers, so I would have put them on. I love at the end, also there was no booze. Yeah, some people don't have booze. I think that should be on the invite. There's no booze at this wedding. Okay, here's another one. So there's 2 points to the story. So 1, The best man took a solid 2 minutes of his speech talking about how he had a huge crush on the bride. 2, different wedding. The best man did a compare and contrast of the groom and the bride's ex-boyfriend. The groom did not come out on top in this compare and contrast. Pro tip, find better best men. Yeah. Bit weird that he's talking about the bride for 2 minutes. I thought I'd read that wrong, but no, the best man. Oh, wow. Yeah, find better best man, dude. But, it's hard. I think my dad, when he got married, he obviously had his brother. If I was a dude, well, to be fair, the bride chooses their maid of honour, which is basically, just the best man, but maid of honour. I'd probably pick my best friend, but that's because I like her and trust her, so I doubt she'd do a horrible speech about me. Oh, this is a comment underneath that thread, and it says, "Bro, you are getting laid tonight. Good thing it only took 37 years. Oh my god. Oh dear. Okay, here's another one. I went to one wedding where the food didn't get served until 11:30 p.m. because of some mistake with the kitchen. It was a steady decline of starving people really trying not to ruin the wedding, while also not wanting to know when the F they were going to get fed, while people got over the top plastered because they were drinking alcohol on an empty stomach. 11:30. Oh wow, that's a massive mistake. Oh, I think I would have left by then. I was like, oh, no food, no free food. Oh, oh wow, yeah, those people were probably sick in the morning. This was 3 years ago. I wonder what happened at the end. Yeah, they were all drunk, but did they get to their rooms all right? There's a comment underneath this which says, I just went to a wedding like this. 2 p.m. ceremony, 7 p.m. reception. They were handing out wine at 7, and the bar opened at 8. But they didn't start serving dinner until 9:30, and at 11:30 when I left, dinner wasn't done yet, not even to dessert. On a Sunday night when most guests have to work on Monday, everyone was dying starvation, getting plastered and debating the merits of going to the White Castle. Yeah, I would have planned that better. If you have a wedding on Sunday, you know there's going to be people going to work on the Monday. So either book a Saturday, or if obviously you can't, just plan it a bit better. Those people could have been doing something much better, like eating. Okay, someone else commented, I've been in the kitchen when this happened. It was painful to watch, and the banquet chef got fired at the end of the night. Oh, I wouldn't like to be the chef in that situation. Okay, so another comment says, went to one like that. We finally got served about 9:30 when they were clearing tables 10 minutes later. What? That person just punched it all in 10 minutes. Oh, okay, this one looks interesting. Mafia wedding. I was in the band. The bride and groom looked like they were going to kill each other when they were feeding each other the cake, and men on either side jumped from their seats to settle everyone down and pull them apart after they shoved the cake into each other's faces. Then the grandpa sat in the chair, basically a receiving line formed for him. A limo pulled outside and he left. All the guests cleared out once he left. No one gave a shit. The reception was still going. I love how... Right, so there's a comment underneath it which says, how did you know there was a mafia wedding? Rumours around town? I can't imagine they would be open about their family business. Okay, the reception was at an Olive Garden. No reservations or heads up for the restaurant beforehand. First dance was sung on a karaoke machine. Ooh, oh wow. That's terrible. Who goes to I've never been to an Olive Garden actually, but wouldn't you book beforehand? Okay, another story. Almost a decade ago, I went to a wedding with a reception at a restaurant. As you would expect, nobody bothered to call the restaurant at any point to ensure seating for the 60 people in the party. It was a local place called Barney's. Barney came to the front door and said no. We ended up at a public park, and the groom's family bought all the cooked rotisserie chickens from a Walmart and some potato salad, chips and soda. We were actually having quite a nice time at the park until the cops showed up and cited the parents for hosting a private event to the park without a permit. Yeah, that's not a good idea, guys. Again, plan your wedding beforehand. Especially at a restaurant, you would have planned. If it was me, I would have been panicking. I'd be like, oh, is everyone okay? Oh, it's fine, yes. Okay, here's another one. This is a big one, so we're going to take my time. Okay, here we go. I was at one wedding where the menu for the reception was advertised as nut-free, coconut-free, and lactose-free in order to accommodate a whole host of allergies among the guests and children. The chef for the buffet decided contract be damned and put walnuts in everything. There were almonds in the salad, pecans in the dessert, walnuts in the chicken, nuts everywhere. It got a bit awkward when the bride found out. See, the bride and all of her sisters had severe nut allergies. She ate Burger King at her wedding, and her sister, 8 months pregnant, shot up her EpiPen and snuck out to go to the ER with anaphylaxis. The cringy, awkward thing was watching the groom trying to soothe and cheer the bride. It was hella awkward. She was seething with just pure, unadulterated rage, and the guests could only look on helplessly. The day was saved some 2 hours later when the bride and groom's kids got silly and hyper, distracting the bride from her anger. It was really tense, though. A lot of people left. Okay, so for this one, it isn't the bride and groom's fault. Like, they weren't being like a bride or groomzillas. This was the chef's fault. Like, they specifically asked for the menu, like, with the things like that, because people have allergies, and that her poor sister. Oh my god, that's terrible. Oh, the chef better. The chef. This was obviously 3 years ago or before. Wait, how long did it say? Yeah, it doesn't say when, but obviously I'm guessing it was 3 years ago. But shit, that's such an. That's not a good chef. Okay, here's another long one. Okay, let's have a look. Crack my back. When I was in college studying photography, I got friendly with a fellow student who had a wedding photography business but was studying to get his qualifications, etc. After seeing my work, he asked me if I want to assist him on his next wedding. I agree. Big day comes and I'm all prepared to go and see the groom and the best man, ushers, etc. and get some pre-match photos of them getting ready and whatnot. But the groom refuses to be at any pics, stating he was feeling under the weather. I kind of thought, suck it up, it's your wedding day, but he was insistent. Ceremony comes and goes, for time for the bridal party photos at the church. Again, groom refuses pics, much to everyone's annoyance. Get to reception, speeches begin, and midway through the father of the bride's speech, the groom just straight up leaves, saying once again he was feeling a bit ill. This is where the bride drew the line and went into a rage and started pulling the small groom and bride figures off the cake and stomping on it. I shouldn't have married him. Lots of hullabaloo, guests trying to console her. Everyone agreed he was being dramatic and basically a dick. We got paid in full, even though at that point we were done. I go home, feet up a few beers, phone goes, it's my friend Craig, the photographer. Groom passed away shortly after leaving the reception hall. We do 2-for-1 wedding and funeral service now. Oh my god, I was not expecting that. Oh, they should have listened to him. He was feeling under the weather. He died. What the hell? Oh god. Oh, that poor man. I felt like he was a dick at the beginning, but now I'm just feel dead bad. Oh my god. Oh wow. I think he should have said a bit more than he was feeling under the weather. Oh my god. His poor wife. Oh wow. That's a terrible story! Oh my god! Okay, here's another one. Whew. The bride was a former nun who left her order not long ago after taking her vows to marry a friend of my significant other's family. During the wedding ceremony, the priest kept staring at her, shaking his head slightly, and making facial expressions that displayed his disappointment in her decision. It became especially awkward during his homily when he said, "Keeping the vows we make, whether nuptial vows or religious, says much about our integrity and sincerity." Ooh. You know, isn't that the plot of Sound of Music? I feel like that's the plot of Sound of Music, guys. Maria was gonna be a nun. But to be fair, we understand. He was a good-looking guy. Okay, here's another story, guys. Friend got married to her boy. Her parents made her break up. Well, you know what? I'm just going to start again because I've read that too wrong. Let's try again. Friend got married to the boy her parents made her break up with years before, due to family/cultural differences. Her mother-in-law fell and sobbed halfway through the ceremony. There wasn't any booze to blame for it as they were both Pakistani. Other than that, it was beautiful and the food was killer. Oh, okay. I don't think that's a bad story. Like, you can't help who you fall in love with. But, it's kind of nice that she did love him, though. Oh, isn't that nice? Let's have a look. Here's a story, guys. My grandpa was getting remarried, and for some reason insisted that the wedding be held in an ancient, dilapidated hotel in western Pennsylvania. He grew up there, so I guess it had sentimental value or something. Well, this hotel happened to be adjacent to a creepy old amusement park, which was hosting a giant Halloween party the night of the wedding. The entire ceremony was marred by blood-curdling screams and chainsaws, and moaning people splattered in fake blood was wandering outside the wedding hall the entire time. Oh! I don't know. I suppose if you like that sort of thing, like, I bet there are people out there that would love that for their wedding. I don't think I would. It depends what theme I was going for. I don't know. I'm gonna presume he didn't like it, though. Okay, here's a big story, guys. It was written 3 years ago, and edited 3 years ago. I feel like most of these are going to be 3 years ago, because I feel like this is an old thread. Okay. There it is. My dad is a minister, and I work the tech stuff at the church he is the pastor of. One wedding he performed was for the daughter of someone in the Harley owners group, motorcycle enthusiast. Things that happened. 1. Bride showed up 93 minutes late. Groom showed up 117 minutes late. My dad and I were betting on when they would show up. I lost. Bridesmaid was in the parking lot playing basketball until 5 minutes when the ceremony was originally supposed to start in her dress. During the ceremony, bride walked off during her vows. She was reading her vows off her phone, not an iPhone Plus or equivalent. Equivalent. I don't know how I was struggling to say that. Groom took a drink from a flask in the middle of the ceremony. Church prohibits alcohol on premises. Ring bearer was her son, different baby daddy, with a more glorious head of hair than Troy. Who's Troy Palamalu? I don't know how to pronounce that. Then someone with a lot of hair, I'm gonna presume, telling his mum that this is so boring. When Groom asked him nicely, legitimately nicely, to be patient, kid says, "You're not my dad! You're not my dad!" 1 hour prior to the ceremony, mother of the bride and other family member is putting together a plastic garden arch. Wow. What a story. That is mad. Imagine just one of the bridesmaids just kicking about playing basketball. I mean, one of the dudes was almost 2 hours late. You might as well. Oh, man, I would have loved to go to that wedding. Okay, next one. Probably not the worst on here, but one of my high school friends' weddings was a recreation of their first date, which was an evening walk down by the lake and the dinner at Perkins. So, on a hot June evening, we all walked down by the lake, got bit up by mosquitoes while we all stood there for 2 hours. They gave us candles to use as light because it starts at 9 p.m, but they didn't consider dripping wax, so the whole time everyone was whispering "owls" as wax dripped onto our fingers. Then we went to Perkins, where the couple did not pay for our dinners, but brought enough French silk pies for everyone to have a slice. They lasted about 6 months. Okay. I'm going to presume that the wedding was not the cause of them lasting 6 months. It's a bit sad, but I like the concept of it. It does sound kind of sweet, but they probably should have thought about the wax. They could have held like LED candles or lanterns or something. I don't know. It's kind of sweet, but obviously they didn't last. But I'm going to presume that's nothing to do with the wedding, because the wedding seemed to be going off alright. Although they didn't pay for everyone else to eat, which seems a bit weird. I think if you tell people that, I don't think it's as bad. Like, say if you're running low on cash or you're struggling, and you just say, we'll just go somewhere, like, nothing expensive to eat. But obviously you have to think about the guests. Like, do they have money to go out for a meal? But I'm gonna presume, I don't know what Perkins is, because I'm guessing it's America. But I'm guessing it's just like a nice restaurant. But it was a recreation of their first date, which is kind of sweet. You know, walk by the lake. Sounds nice. Not me, but a co-worker. She was invited to the service and reception. Apparently the couple invited a couple hundred people to the service, but only 50 to the reception. If you hadn't been invited to the reception, didn't have the location. People assumed it was mistakes and started following each other, those who knew who it was. The mother of the bride was horrified. This has been her idea. She didn't want to be rude, but there was also not enough food or sitting place. Oh my god. Oh, I think they did that the wrong way round. It should have been 50 people going to the ceremony and 200 people going to the thing. But honestly, I don't think I'd invite that many people. Just because you might not know them, but if it's a reception, you just be like, go have fun. Obviously, it depends on where the wedding is held, but that is wild. That is a wild wedding. Okay, this is a very, very short one. It's a couple of lines, but I think I've got to read him. Okay. Best man professes love for the groom. It was a lot of awkward laughing and trying to play it off as a joke. It was painful. Oh man, there's a time and a place to profess your love, not at their wedding. Maybe it was true, maybe it wasn't true. But oh, imagine that. Best man dude. Time and a place, buddy. An old buddy of mine from high school got his 17-year-old girlfriend pregnant when they were both seniors, so naturally the father made the kid marry his daughter. They were literally dating for 3 weeks before she found out she was pregnant. There were only like 15 of us at the wedding in the family's backyard. The entire time the father looks like he's going to have a stroke due to being so angry with his daughter, who was weeping. She lost a volleyball scholarship. The official says they can kiss, so they instead hug. No reception or anything. Marriage didn't even last 3 months. So what was the point of that? They clearly didn't love each other. Oh, I never understood that. I wasn't. My parents weren't married when I was born. They were married 28 days after. But they're not together anymore. They're friends though, so that's okay. But the point is, these days, I don't think it's a necessity to get married. Like, I know, like, loads of people who probably wouldn't get married just for the kids. You know how it is, honey, you know how it is. But, it was a mistake, Teenagers. I'm a teenager, I can say that. People make mistakes. Doesn't mean they have to marry someone. Anyway, that guy could have helped her out, you don't know. But I feel like the dad is a bit old-fashioned. Not saying that, you have to not get married, but you shouldn't have to get married, if you know what I mean. I think it's up to her. But I feel bad for her, because she lost her scholarship. That's bad. Whew! Pretty sure I'll be the one in the but you know what? One day I will be able to read without stuttering over my words. I'm just going to take it slow, Here's the next one, guys. Pretty sure it will be the one I'm in next weekend. Will be super awkward. The groom has been a total wimp, refusing to fend off his crazy mother and stick up for his bride. My husband and brother-in-law in his party keep trying to talk some sense into him, but he's not stepping up. He also neglects to inform a family friend they were supposed to usher until about a month ago. Something I found out of the bride begged me to ask why the ushers took measurements hadn't been gotten. The bride is totally overwhelmed, with her groom family being little to no help. Her soon-to-be mother-in-law telling her she hates her and won't come to the wedding, and her not booking room and accommodations, hair, makeup, etc. until the last minute. On the plus side, I get to be reinforced at the event and yell at anyone giving her shit, since I only know her, the groom, and my family. I give zero facts what anyone else at the wedding thinks of me, as I'll never see him again. Wish me luck. Ooh, this one seems saucy. It's always the mother-in-laws at the weddings that cause a lot of trouble. Not saying it's every mother-in-law, but most stories I read are about the mother-in-law. But, groom and bride, stick up for yourselves and stick up for your partner if you care a lot about them. Because your parents aren't always in the right. I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying that, but it's true. They make mistakes, you make mistakes. It's all good, baby. Someone commented underneath that story. She sounds like she could use a good venting space. Feel free to direct it over to someone, and I highly recommend for you to accidentally spill red wine on anyone who shows up in white. Ooh, I always hear that people who turn up to white at the wedding who aren't getting married. One when the officiant said at the end of the ceremony, and now I'd like to introduce the new Mr. and Mrs. Wife's ex-husband's last name. What the hell? That's weird. That's weird, man. That's weird. Oh, wow, this one is a really big one, but I feel like it's going to be spicy, so let's read it. This is a guy called Gary who posted this. Okay, Gary, what's your story? Whew. I posted this about a year or so ago, I can read. More mental than awkward, but the wedding started off awkward. A group of mates and I were invited to a wedding in a regional city about an hour and a half away. We didn't know anyone but the groom and his bride and a few others. The wedding went off without a hitch, but the reception was held in a large hall. There would have been easily 200 people there. The only food they served was finger food, but they had an open bar. My friend was Irish. He didn't like eating while he was drinking because he said it filled him up. Turns out his relatives and friends were the same. Whew. Things kicked off with a band, and everyone got stuck into the beer and wine. I sat at the table at the back of the room and I doled ladies up like a lion's finger wildebeest herd. Soon enough, the speeches started. By this time, everyone was due to be sloshed. People started getting up and talking, and I noticed a trend. When one person was talking, one side of the room would start heckling them. Then when someone else got up, the other side of the room would start. I asked someone about it, and he slurred to me, but most of the people were from two rival families, and this was the first time they'd all been together under one roof for a while. I nodded and imagined what Romeo and Juliet would have been like, said in rural Australia. The heckling wasn't too bad, but the bride looked up to be seething. It was her big day, and people were ruining it. Finally, the best man got up. He started off with a really shit joke, which was met with a silence followed by a lone voice from the other side of the room. Boo! You fucking suck, you fat C-U-N-T. The best man responded, oh god. Speaking of sucking, I see your wife stop blowing random strangers off the internet long enough to make it to the reception. There's more, guys, there's more. There was probably a good 2 seconds of silence after this. It seemed like time had stopped. Everyone just stared at the best man. There was such an intake of breath, I feared the hall would turn to a vacuum. Then, out of nowhere, a chair appeared in the air. Waka 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 waka. That's what it says. I'm not making this up. It rotated through the air before exploding onto the head table. Bam! It was like a switch had been flicked. People leapt over tables and started belting each other. The bridesmaids were shrieking. The father of the groom had some old dude in a headlock. The bride was standing on the table, screaming like a mad woman while she threw glasses into the melee as the groom tried to get her down. My mates and I looked at each other, then just set off pulling people off each other. No one punched us as we were outsiders. The beef was only with the people on the other side of the room. The cops were called and the brawl moved outside into the car park. These two cops who had been expecting to see a fight between the couple of drunken revellers were completely out of their depth. One of them ran around saying, "Oi, oi, stop that," while the other radioed him for backup. Apparently they're still married, but a similar scene occurred during the bride's sister's wedding a few years later. That was such a good story. That's like something you'd see out of a movie. Oh, wow. Oh. Oh, wow. Oh, that was amazing. Oh, that was such a good story. Oh, how are they still married? Oh, I love how it was in Australia as well. Okay, here's another one. It's not a long one. I was a banquet manager for a wedding where one bridesmaid showed up with another bridesmaid's ex as her date. A couple of hours in, the two women ended up in and out of all fight in the hallway. Classy! Another memorable wedding had the best man give an expletive-loaded toast, and then, instead of drinking the champagne, he threw it in the bride's face. Ooh, wow. That's shit. Oh, we got another long one, guys. Oh, I don't think it's going to be as good as the other one, but let's read this one. Okay. Friend from high school, who had just left the military after his 4 years or whatever, came back to our shit hometown and almost immediately got his new manager at Pizza Hut pregnant. They had to get married, parents on both sides declared it so. Met my friends, including the groom, at the best man's house. On the way to the venue, more on this later, in best man's car, we stopped at the apartment complex to pick up another dude from the HS, who had gotten a certificate to marry people online. It took 20 minutes to come out and we were already like, shit. For the wedding, everyone met at this university garden thingy in town. They did not rent the space, and they were not paying to use it. We all just showed up. There were some dirt paths, a grassy area, and a gazebo. We all got there and stood around until told to stand in the grass. Bride arrived in an SUV, got out and walked down the aisle, and the groom stood aloof, facing away the entire time, with the best man doing the loud whisper thing to get him to turn around. He stayed facing away as to not see her, I guess. But I think by the time they were going down the aisle, the bad luck myth doesn't affect anymore. Anyway, once she gets up there, a groom's friend who was officiating pulls out this mother-effing phone. He says what he needs to be pulled up on a website. He didn't even type out anything with the correct names. He was just reading from a random website, changing to the bride and groom names when necessary. We could see him frantically scrolling through his phone, skipping over parts and trying to piece together something on the spot. It was fecking horrible, and he missed half the shit. I don't think they even did the I do part. Then he lamely finished, declared them married, and then we all pissed off. The reception was in kind of an VFW thing, don't know what that is. It wasn't all bad, but overall it was pretty shit. No DJ or any one person in charge of music, just someone's iPod plugged into a speaker, so people just kept going and changing the music for halfway through each song. There was a keg and some nachos, so that was pretty dope. No shame in doing what you can afford, I totally get that. Most awkward part of it all was strictly told not to mention the fact that the bride was pregnant, because her grandparents didn't know and freak out. Best man gets up for a speech, and almost immediately points to the bride and says, "I can't wait to be the godfather." Overall, 4 out of 10. Edit. Forgot to mention the groom awkwardly pulling the bride's garter off with his teeth in full military service gesture to the song Pony, with his very white Christina mother standing right behind him. No, I do agree with the story when he says no shame in doing what you can afford. No, that's true. There was no shame in doing that. But have a bit of class about yourself, guys. I love that they said there was an iPod plugged into a speaker. Oh, I love that they just went along with it, and the guy was like, start off the story with a bang. There's one that says, my cousin's medieval wedding, where my family is one of the few who didn't dress up. Ooh. But someone put underneath it, because that isn't a story, that just says what happened to this wedding. So this person commented underneath the medieval one saying, expecting people to just have on hand or buy a rent is just difficult for everyone. I went to a fairy tale themed wedding for a cosplay loving couple. Part of the RSVP included whether you could provide your own or wanted fairy wings, knights, weapons, and what colour, which were either rented or from the couple's own collection. It meant that no one looked out of place and no one had a hand excuse to not have a costume. The pictures came out amazing too. That's cool, because I love it when people put their interests or their hobbies into the wedding. Like, Brooklyn Nine-Nine carries on about someone who had their wedding at a gym, which was what the groom and bride both loved. I know that isn't real, but I bet there's people who've done that. Oh, yes, another long one, guys. Let's go. It was the wedding the weekend after my own wedding. Not to toot my own horn, but our wedding went pretty fucking awesome. My naive expectations of what a wedding can be were about to be shattered. We, myself and my wife's immediate family, arrived late to the chapel. We're all close friends with the groom's family, so they hold off for about 10 minutes or so when we get there. Well, it's a balmy 41 Celsius over there in Grenoble, that time of year, and everyone went to the tiny chapel sweating like a... Sweating like a what? I don't know what I even says. They're sweating. No less that 2 elderly women have fainted before the vows are said, and the ceremony is rushed to get everyone out of the heat. So rushed that the reception is 2 hours in advance and nothing's in order. The only relief at this point is to start drinking and non-stopping. By the time the power is turned on at the reception hall, water and toilets functioning, aperitif? Started, everyone is at least plastered. Q4 hours of French military brothers drunkenly horsing around and generally making every non-military person uncomfortable. But now the dinner can begin, and let's see the bride and groom's big surprise. In a presentation mauled with technical difficulties, projectors not working, audio not working, we see the couple getting married in Vegas in those imitation Elvis chapels. I'll never forget the look of shock and disgust in the father of the bride's eyes. So many people have gotten married with the Elvis things that I don't think it's even surprising anymore. Just so many people have done it. If someone says, "Oh, I got married in Vegas," you go, "I did, yeah, that's nice." Let's have a look. Is there any more good ones? Oh. Okay, this is a guy that was a former hotel security guard. One of my very first events was a wedding, and about midway through the reception, the groom, dead ringer of Kenny Powers, decides to go back to his room and change out of his tuxedo. He comes back in a neon green t-shirt, cargo shorts, sandals, and a camouflage trucker's cap. The bride didn't like that not one bit, especially since she was still in her dress and heels. The rest of the night was pretty awkward. Some people left immediately, and the ones that stayed just at their tables looking nervous. The bride, who had been a pretty reasonable person up until then, at one point just snaps. She tells the DJ, "Turn off the fucking music," and storms off to her room, all the bridesmaids in tow. The incident did this protective ring formation around her. The groom takes off after her until one of the bridesmaids whips around and goes, "Leave her the fuck alone, Hunter!" Long story short, Hunter spent the night in his own room. Oh god. Now, I understand that, it's a wedding, you don't want to be in your tux all day, but why would you go wear that? I don't understand. Like, the bride's probably like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? Why are you dressing like that? I'm not even fucking... Is there another one? We can do a couple of more. Let's do a couple of more. Okay, I'm going to do a few more. Okay, so here's the one. I've been to one wedding. It was in the pastor minister lady who led the ceremony's backyard, and the car alarm went off halfway through everything. Pretty sure my dad said that he was messing around and it was his car. He was the one getting married, and then the reception was at an Applebee's. Now, obviously, because I'm not from America, I've never been to an Applebee's, but every time I go on Tumblr, there is always someone doing that fucking joke where it says, "Welcome to Applebee's, do you want the apples or the bees?" Bees? He wants the bees! I've seen that joke so many times. I just want to go to Applebee's just to do that joke. Okay, here's a good one. I don't know if it's good, but it looks long. All the long ones always seem to be good. Former wedding DJ here. I have a few stories from separate weddings. 1. Bride and groom were huge Detroit Tigers fans. High decorator got confused and decorated the whole top to bottom in a blue cheese motif. Oh dear. 2. Bride was slow dancing with the bartender, her ex, for half the night until the groom's father angrily dragged her by the ear into a corner and shouted at her for a good 20 minutes. Oh shit. 3. Bride's cousin was getting high outside the hall when a relative of the groom confronted him about smoking pot so close to the entrance where kids were coming in and out. Cousin punched relative in the face, and the ensuing brawl emptied out the entire hall of 300 people. Oh shit. 4. Bride's mother had a heart attack, and then the EMS took her to the hospital. No one went with her to make sure she was going to be okay. Oh, when this was 3 years ago, I would have gone. I mean, I would have had to get a plane, but the poor woman. And my personal favourite, 5. Bride and groom knew each other since the bride was a kid, and the groom was her best friend's dad. Very few people showed up from the bride's side, and the best friend didn't show up either. Oh, it made for some awkward speeches. Oh god! Oh, that's like Monica and Richard from Friends. Oh god, I was getting ready to this one. I was like, oh shit, I've just read the rest of the sentence. Okay, I'm gonna do one last story, and it is quite a long one, so I'll do this. This will be the last one. Okay, guys. This is by a guy called Fox Hunter. Okay, Fox Hunter, what have you got? Let's begin. Sister-in-law's wedding was in June. The couple had rented basically a 20-minute slot at a scenic landmark in my city to keep in budget. Wife and I are really the only ones who live here. We'll let everyone know that parking may be limited and to expect to walk to 2 to 3 blocks minimum. Be there early, be prepared to walk. Okay? Despite not being able to find the park ranger to get the permit in hand until about 10 minutes before the scheduled ceremony, everything appears to start alright. But as we're approaching the time, the groom's immediate family isn't here. The bride makes her appearance to start the walk and everyone sees her, but she is motioned back in. So, we wait in the sun in June with no seating and no shade. At least the park rangers didn't seem to care that we waited for our 20 minutes and it was getting hot. About 25 minutes past our time slot, they show up, strolling in like they own the place. Signals are given and the bride starts to walk in. Ceremony starts after that, and it's a good 20 minutes into the verses and lead up to the vows. Oh, it's hot. He does his vows, touch him. Sister-in-law does his vows, and her grandmother slumps right over in the middle. Okay. Now this is immediate medical issues, just in case you're wondering. She is responsive, but not giving great answers to questions. My wife is a nurse and did some triage. I found the lady with my jacket and everyone else crowded around. She seemed okay, and after a couple of minutes passed out fully. Had 911 on the phone, and of course the person on the phone then reported to 911 and we were performing CPR, and not everyone was panicking that grandma was dead. Oh boy. Wife at the pulse, grandma's okay. Not great, but okay. Can everyone calm down and get back? Grandma regained consciousness and still wasn't giving great answers to easy questions. We could hear the ambulance, but this was a large landmark and the 911 caller wasn't particularly specific, they weren't sure where we are, so no one of sister-in-law's uncles and I leave Grandma, and we're trying to run the sounds to get them to Grandma, and we flag them down and get them to her. Of course, once we tell the EMTs is that Grandma is not getting CPR and are passed out but was conscious again, they looked like they couldn't give a flying fuck. I strolled up with all the urgency of molasses. Did I mention his freaking heart? We're all in no formal clothes. When we get back to Grandma, she's actually doing a lot better. Has got water and is giving correct answers to questions. Everyone's feeling a heck of a lot better. I found out that at this point, the groom's parents had pulled him aside and accused him of having made this happen to Grandma by stressing her out about them being late. Of course, they drove Grandma. Grandma didn't want to go with the EMTs, but more than a few people made sure that she did. She was loaded up into the ambulance, and the ambulance just sat there. While it was loaded, I remembered to call the restaurant where we had booked to let them know that was going on, as we were supposed to be there about 15 minutes at this point. Waited 5 minutes, but still there. Decided to resume the wedding, beginning with the bride's vows. Bride does her vows, and the ambulance is still sitting there. The pronounced man and wife ambulance drives off. Definitely too long of an introduction of the couple by the minister of what happened, and the wedding's over. 1.5 hours after a 20-minute wedding was scheduled to start, it was done. All in the sun without shade and sitting in June. Miserable heat and humidity in formal clothes. Everyone's pulling sweat. A lot of people are sunburned. Bride was in a super awkward position of having vows interrupted and didn't feel like a single person listened to her the second time. Even though it's a legit reason for interruption, it's weird. You never interrupt a bride on a wedding day. She wants to be bad, but can't be. The groom was blamed by his parents for his grandma passing out. He was absolutely livid at them for being late, for blaming him and making a big show of everything because they did do this constantly. It was part of the reason they weren't married in their hometown. Groom's grandma went to hospital but turned out to be fine and didn't blame him, just overheated. Bride's grandmother left at the hullabaloo because she was already too hot and she had to find a place to sit, went to a nearby store for some air conditioning. Reception was great though, his parents didn't bother showing up. Oh, that was a roller coaster. Wow, I hope Grandma's okay. Oh, wow, that's a strange story, but I'm glad the bride was kept calm, because if it was me, I'd been like, oh, fuck, my grandma. But, you know, America gets fucking hot in June. I'd be dead, just be honest, I'd be dead, because I can't handle the heat in Britain, and Britain doesn't get that hot. Literally, when it gets hot, I'm just like, I'm a puddle. I become a puddle on the floor. I'm like, I'm done. I'm just done. I'm on the floor. Leave me alone. But as long as everyone's okay, that's all good. Okay, thank you everyone. So that was that was about 40 minutes of wedding stories, awkward wedding stories. I might do this again with a different subject because that was actually a lot of fun. I enjoyed reading them, as you can tell. And so that was episode 3 of the Eververse podcast. Obviously episode 1 and 2 are up on my channel if you want to watch them again or watch them for the first time. That's cool. I have started a Patreon, if anyone wishes to, donate to that or whatever. I'm not fussed. I just thought I'd start it just as a backup kind of thing. I haven't been doing a lot of videos lately because I've been a bit busy. I went on a little trip for a couple of days with my dad. Went up to the Lake District. It was a lot of fun. But, so next week, I'll do something else. I might do this again, but I'm not sure at the moment. But I want to thank everyone for listening, and I hope you all had fun doing that, because I sure did. Oh, some of these stories were wild, man. But, yes. So thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy, like and comment, and do subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!